Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you guys once again for joining the 90s podcast hosted by yours truly, Kevin Thompson, founder and CEO of 99 Capital Group. Thank you guys for joining us. As I always say, subscribe to the channel. As I always say, go and get my book, MLB to CFP, live on Apple and Amazon. You have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at info@99capitalgroup.com. Send us your questions. Go to the website at www.99capitalgroup.com. Schedule an appointment. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, empower, engage, and also entertain. Today, we're talking to Cameo Roberson of Atlas Park Consulting. Beyond the AUM, talking about advisors and how they can grow their business. This episode is for you, the business owner, the advisor, the one that's looking to go independent. You don't want to miss this. Cameo Roberson, welcome to the show. Let's get it. I just want to say, I've been watching you on LinkedIn. I've been seeing what you're doing. I've been seeing you on all these different media channels. This has been a blessing. This is a wonderful opportunity just to have this conversation. Thank you for joining the podcast today, my friend.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. I really appreciate it. And if anybody says LinkedIn doesn't work, they're lying. Wonderful people.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. And the first thing I'm gonna say is this: you've recently written a book. Tell us about that book. Tell us about some of the things you've explored in the book, and give us a little insight on why you wrote that particular book. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I had the pleasure of co-authoring a book with some amazing women in the industry. It's called Beyond the Broker, Navigating Financial Advisory Independence. And it's a book designed to really help advisors who are thinking about independence, giving them a roadmap of how to do it. What I realized over my time in my consulting practice is advisors had questions left and right. How do I go independent? What does independence even mean? And that decision tree just got deeper and deeper and deeper. And so decided to write this book to help demystify what it means to go independent. What are the different paths to independence? And if you decide on either one, what can you expect? In particular, you want to build a standalone RIA and you want to be, hang up your own shingle, be that full-time entrepreneur. Fantastic. There's some things that you need to know in that RIA build that you don't always find out until you're in it. So this book really helps individuals figure out how to navigate that terrain.
Well, I'm going to say this. Of course, I did that exact same thing. What many advisors don't understand, this is the number one thing I think many advisors don't understand: the difference between being a financial advisor and the difference between being a business owner.
Right.
They're entirely different, right?
Completely different.
Yeah.
Yep.
And go ahead.
That practitioner working with clients, you got your CFP, your CFA, the alphabet soup of designations, your stuff, right?
Yeah.
And that's one side of the coin. But then the other side that you may not learn in your educational track is how do you actually be a business owner, build a profitable enterprise that's going to keep you happy and not stressed out at the end of the day.
The key word, profitable enterprise.
Yes.
Running your books and records.
Yes.
Knowing what RIA platform to use, whether it's a custodian, whether it's a Schwab or an altruist or what have you. Knowing that you need a bookkeeper and a CPA. I won't tell you, I'm going to use some choice words here, but my CPA saved my ass more than once, because she told me, Kevin, we're going to get this quicken. You're going to connect me to it. I'm going to write this up, and you're going to pay for the bookkeeping service that I have. We're going to run all your bookkeeping through this. I was like, oh, whatever. And it's costing me $3 or $4 grand a year. I'm like, okay. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh my God, they're asking for a balance sheet. They're asking for an income statement on this. I'm getting an audit. They're asking for all these things. She said, Kevin, it's all in your bookkeeping software. I said, really? So I go in there, download it. I'm like, oh my God, So It's those things that people don't understand that you need.
Completely agree. And that key piece is being a prudent business owner, right? Yeah. You need to keep track of your clients, assets and investments. You need to take care of your own.
So let's go back a little bit and Atlas Park Consulting. So what was the main reason or the inspiration behind Atlas Park? Was it because you ventured into the advising space and you say, hey, you know what? I want to help people go independent, show what that looks like. Is that the reason and the main purpose behind Atlas Park?
So even before that, Kevin, when I think about my journey over 20 years in the wealth management space, I've held a number of different roles,
Mm-hmm.
worked at small firms, worked at large firms. And as I tried to get to the next level in my career, there were roadblocks that I hit,
Yeah.
roadblocks that frustrated me to no end. And I came to this point, it was probably about 2015, and said, Cameo, what are you going to do? These firms that you're at, they're okay, but it's not really giving you what you need and not really giving you the opportunity to get to that next level. So I decided at that time, I always loved business, had taken entrepreneurship courses in college.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hire a business coach to help get me right and figure out what this business Atlas Park was going to be. So then fast forward a couple of years, working with that business coach, Atlas Park developed into an operations strategy agency where we work with independent financial advisors and teams and do what I like to call, Kevin, is rescue them from operational chaos,
Okay.
them build the systems and infrastructure needed to scale. And all of my experience came from working in the trenches. So I
Okay.
know what's behind the curtain and can really help these firms, do what they want to do, serve clients well, but then also build a profitable business. And you asked the question around what's the inspiration for Atlas Park. So when I think about Atlas, right, a roadmap, a compass, a guide, and I'm helping these advisors navigate the terrain of being an independent business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think about my own journey of how I started and how I've continued to move forward in my business as well. And so Atlas Park is a place where advisors and business owners can come and get the support they need to get to that next level of business success.
Wow. Yeah, it sounds like you've said that more than once. You said that
Crazy.
more than because it's all buttoned up. Like I've never said anything that buttoned up in
Practice,
my life. You know what I mean?
practice, I tell you.
That was wonderful. That was beautifully well eloquent, well put. And I heard my antenna went up. You said your purpose behind these things and
Yeah,
what moved you to these different arenas. And I know what moved me, right? The business models that we all come into, whether it's the insurance side, and then there's a
yeah.
battle between insurance and IARs and
Right,
versus commissions, and it's like, oh my God. I will say this, and this is for everybody who's listening, and I've always get this. This is the reason why I moved. It may be different than the reason that you moved, but the reason why I moved is because they kept telling me no. Kevin,
mm,
you can't do tax planning. Kevin, you can't do estate planning. Kevin, you can't. I'm like, then what are we doing here? Then
right,
call a spade and call it a
right,
sell call it a sales culture. That's fine. But don't just lie to people and say, oh, we're a full financial planning, holistic plan place. That's not what you are. You're just selling insurance and investments, and that's okay. But
right.
call it that, right?
Yeah, let people know exactly what they're getting into so that they can make a decision based on their best interests. And that's what we wanted to do with this book is help advisors understand what they're walking into,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that they can decide if this is for them or not.
And there's a lot of things people don't necessarily understand about this side of the fence. There's decisions that they're going to make. They're going to be like, okay, business owner, RIA, do I want to do that? Or do I want to come in under a tuck in that's already established? And all I got to do is just come in and just be not necessarily an employee, but be a teammate, be a partner,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And, or you can go into the aggregator model where you're just an employee and just,
Right.
they're going to pay me a salary and I'm just going to take a book of clients and I'm going to call it a day and it may be happy making 120, 100, whatever that looks like. Right.
Yeah.
Uh, so what business models, again, what you discussed in your book, um, what are some, and all the people that you've worked with,
Okay.
the majority of the people when they're transitioning into this, are they transitioning into the business owner perspective? Are they transitioning into the tuck in, or are they going into more of an employee mindset? What do you see from your
Yeah,
expertise?
great question. So most of the clients in college that I've talked to are going into that standalone RIA model. They want to be that full-time business owner. They want to call the shots. They want to be in charge. They want to be able to, reap all the rewards, but then also understand the risk involved with that. But I will tell you, Kevin, is in these conversations, they will ask about the other two as well. And so we can
Okay.
talk about that in their decision-making process.
So one thing I will tell you that both of these people are going to get from their current provider or current place of business is their compliance officer is going to say, and this is what they told me: you don't understand the compliance side, Kevin. It's crazy out there. Or this, I got this one. Hey, regulators are going to come down so hard on RIAs in the future. Oh my God, there's not going to be one left, and they're going to just come after them. So you need to be careful if that's the route you want to go. But I would say just stay here. I'm like, stop. And then I
Yeah.
get here. Yeah, I've had an audit.
Mhm.
Okay, and they're very professional people. There's no like gotcha questions. It's like, hey, this is what we want to see. This is what we need to do.
Right.
I honestly believe sometimes that people are trying to preserve their jobs. You know what I mean, and
Mhm.
especially in the traditional brokerage space, because at the end of the day, like I'm doing a lot of the compliance stuff, and I'm like, is this what they're talking about? Like I'm running the
Right.
business, and I'm doing all this stuff. I'm like, you're just talking about pushing some buttons over here.
Right.
You know what I
No,
mean?
yeah, I can see that. And I think we fear what we don't truly understand, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of, I see advisors all the time running from compliance because they may not fully understand the components to it. But if you take the time to just understand what's behind the scenes, get you a good compliance consultant to work with you, you don't have to be afraid of that.
Yeah, it's the Richard Pryor and the Wiz, right? He's the man behind the curtain. You gotta understand it. But again, a lot of people don't want to have, that additional headache. They say, I just want to be with my clients, and I get it. I understand it. But
Yeah.
I want to say this because there's a big debate in our industry. We're gonna transition a little bit.
Yeah.
And you talked about it on LinkedIn. You've seen the battles consistently. Flat fee, fee only, AUM, commission based, all of these different fiduciary, the F word, whatever you want to call it. And there's just like a fight of how people get paid. And
Right.
let's just start there. What do you see, especially in the RIA space, because I'm a fee based firm, because again I came from the insurance side, and I have a book of business that I'm just not going to throw away, so I got to
Right.
remain fee based, right? So
Yeah.
I'm getting that those renewals and those residuals, so I'm not going to throw that away. But the value between fee only versus fee based, is there a significant value difference there, or is that just all perception?
I think, in my opinion, it's all perception, right? At the
Yeah.
end of the day, you are a business owner and you decide how you want to be paid, if you're fee only or you're fee based, right?
Yeah.
There's merits on both sides. My biggest argument has been when you're working with your clients and offering insurance, long-term care, annuities, other commission-based products,
Uh-huh.
they have a place in the client's financial life. They do.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right? So if
Yeah.
you decide not to, offer those services, you're going to need to find someone who can help them with those services.
Yeah.
So accept it that it's a part of the business structure. It may not be yours, and that's fine. But the products that are being presented to clients have a place in their financial life.
Yeah. One thing, I was on a podcast with the Ritholtz team recently, and we said the same thing. We're like, assets under management is tissue paper. That's just an ACAT form, and it's gone. We
Uh-huh.
said, what are you truly bringing to the table? And I said, I want my business, like Apple, to be sticky. It's an
Yes.
ecosystem. It's, hey, we have your tax forms here. We did some tax planning stuff. That's why I got my EA. Hey, we have your estate plan here with us. That's why I got wealth.com.
Uh-huh.
Hey, we have your investment management. Yeah, that's just tissue paper. We have all your investments. Hey, we have your financial plan in our e-money system. Hey, we got that. Hey, we have all of your documents, driver's licenses, all power of attorney. All this stuff is in our ecosystem.
Right.
And guess what? People don't want to do that again. You know what I
No,
mean?
they don't. I tell you, they do not.
Exactly. So what that is one thing Amazon and Apple have gotten right. They've created an ecosystem, and as a business owner, you must create the ecosystem where your clients won't want to leave. That's just my opinion. What do you say about that?
No, I agree. Having a relationship with your advisor that's sticky and they know that they can come to you for whatever it is that they need, and you're providing them those resources, I think
Yeah.
that's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
And in a sea of sameness, right? Financial
Yeah.
advisors, how are you differentiating yourself between the advisor down the street and the advisor in the next couple of states over, right?
Yeah.
And clients don't want to have to redo their onboarding, documentation. I used to do that work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
My prior life. And it was always such a pain trying to get that information from them. So they don't want to do it again.
They don't want to do it again. They barely want to do it for you. You know?
True. True.
So, so okay. I want to go to this LinkedIn comment because I think it's
Yeah.
valuable. And we have a guy out there. I don't want Matt Jarvis. I'm not sure if you've seen him, but he's a good guy. You know, him and I got in a fight a long time ago, but we're friends. You know what I mean? So, we talk about graduating clients or those legacy clients.
Okay.
I wholeheartedly believe that our industry does a disservice because they think about it in a revenue per client perspective versus a revenue per hour perspective.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
why I'm saying that is because let's just say hypothetically I have $100,000 client. That's all they have with us is just some assets. And they say, I got these assets, 100 grand. We charge 1.1. It's what it says. Let's make it 1% just to make it easy. And this is that we spend 3 or 4 hours a year with them, just, reviewing, doing some documentation, whatever. So say if it's 4 hours, that's
Mhm.
$250 an hour. That client works with you.
Mhm.
And this is 4 Zoom meetings, maybe even 3 or even 2 Zoom meetings a year. So for some businesses, that's like, that client is not valuable to me because we're only making $1,000 or 500, whatever that looks like. But for others like myself, like I think about it like, well, I'm doing less. I mean, I'm not saying I'm doing less, but I'm like, there's not a headache for me because I think about it from a revenue per hour perspective that
Right.
I'm getting 250, 400, $500 an hour
Mhm.
from these clients. What say you to that? Am I wrong to think about it that way? Or is it because some people are like, I'm only making $500 or $1,000 in this people. It's just not
Mhm.
worth it.
I think that's an interesting perspective. And you have to look at the time that you're spending with your client and the service that you're providing. If you're just managing assets and you're not doing any financial planning and you're meeting with them, 2, 3 times a year, it may make sense to
Mm-hmm.
stay with them because you're just managing their assets and doing, portfolio reviews maybe once a quarter. But if this is a client who you're spending a lot of time with throughout the month, they're calling all the time, high maintenance. You want to look at the revenue that they are generating in relationship to the time that you're spending, and all of that has to come down to your business model. Now, my client in particular, they're doing comprehensive financial planning and assets under management,
Mm-hmm.
and realized that a large portion of their clients were legacy and had not kept up with their current fees. So when we did the analysis on how much it was costing them per client, they were actually losing money on some of
Yeah.
those clients. And so it just gave the perspective of maybe we can rethink how we're serving these legacy clients and make sure that any new clients coming on are going to meet that minimum pricing that we have in place.
So when you said legacy clients, and I want to make sure I understand what this is
Mhm.
actually meaning. My
Yeah.
my definition of legacy client is, hey, the client has already been taken care of. There's not like it's all the work has been done, right? And now all we're doing is basically just updating some things. And sometimes I believe and this is just my heart of heart. Sometimes I believe like we put ourselves on this pedestal of like, you don't know how much work I'm doing, and I get it, and I know we want to feel more. It's this level of self-importance we put ourselves in. We want to ascend to the heavens, and because you know what I mean. But again, not saying you, but just us as financial advisors, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand because let's just say it's a legacy client. Let's just say we're doing these things. Like if you, I want to know realistically when you
Mhm.
put the hours, the amount of time, a phone call could be 8 minutes, an email could be 3 minutes. This note, whatever, if you really just hone into the amount of time that's being put on a single person. Do you think we're ever accurate when we're saying, "Oh, I spent 4 or 5 hours with this person"? You spent 58 minutes with this person in the whole year. I know what it really looks like.
Yeah, you're probably not, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, at the end of the day. But I think it's important to keep that in mind, but determine what legacy means for you, right? In my client's case, these were engagements that had been around for the last 15 to 20 years
Okay.
and still had the same pricing 10 years ago, right? And then family and friends also coming in under that family household. So
Wow.
in that instance, that's what legacy meant. These were clients, friends of friends, family members, and their pricing had not shifted in a very long time.
Oh, well, that's mistake number one. Like if you're not increasing your prices, like like I recently I got my EA, our prices went up, CFP,
Yeah.
the prices go, it just comes with this level of service. If you're adding on services, but your prices are the same,
And
that's a
that's
bad business model.
right. And that was the challenge. And that's what our analysis uncovered.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. You've seen that. So a couple more questions if you don't mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cameo, Atlas, Park Consulting. Um, what trends are you seeing among advisors that are trying to scale while maintaining their client service? Because I know how I feel about that. I do a lot of marketing. I do a lot of these different shows and all this other stuff. But there's
Hmm.
there's like a there's like a balance in there somewhere. Like, you know what? I need to build this business. I need to market my business. I need to take care of my clients currently. So again, what trends are you seeing advisors scaling, maintaining client service?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I think about, the number of clients that we've worked with, over 85 and counting since launching, some of the things that I've seen are firms trying to scale,
Hmm.
one, not having enough team to do that,
Okay.
right? Just wanting to add on additional capacity, but not having the team members. Or you might have team members, but they're in the wrong seat. So, for example, client service associate, but you want
Mhm.
them to act like a COO,
Yeah.
misaligned expectations.
Wait. Is there a problem with wearing 4 or 5 different hats? I got 16 different hats over here. They don't fit my hair, but it's all good.
Some are better at managing than others, but I see that. So
I'm
the
just
client
kidding, my bad.
service,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The client service professional being expected to operate like a chief operations officer
Mm.
in two different skill sets. So advisors need to really evaluate how they want to grow, who do they need on the team in relationship to the services that they're providing, and then develop a strategic plan to actually get to that next level. I'll give you another example of this. I was talking with a growing RIA based in Tampa just a few weeks ago, and he has two people. I think he has about 33 million in AUM, which is
Mhm.
great. And he immediately thought he needed a COO. And I said, transparently, that's great, but you're not ready yet. And
Yeah.
here's you want to build the infrastructure of your firm first. He
Mhm.
didn't have any documented processes and procedures. He was still kind of winging it. He had a VA, but the VA really wasn't stepping up to the plate. And so we need to get your infrastructure down, right? Your systems, your processes, the things that make your business run and go.
Mhm.
You could probably leverage an operations manager at this point. But if you want that COO, we got to have that business structure solid,
Mhm.
running well, so that the COO can come in and then manage and provide operational leadership to make sure that the system is continuing to run well. Just giving him that perspective, he said, okay, I get it. I'm on my way there, but I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna do one second. I want to introduce you to my COO real quick, okay? Hey, how you doing?
All right.
It's
It's nice to meet you.
yeah, I'm the CEO. Yeah, I'm just. You want to see the CCO real quick? He can come over here as well. It's
See
all
how
fun and
the t-shirt?
yeah, exactly. It's all fun and games, but the reality is that uh, it takes multiple hats to run this business,
It
and
does.
just because you have 30 million, 40 million, you can't do that. In my humble opinion, you got to be at 100 million to even have these conversations.
I agree. I
Yeah,
agree. I thought it was exceptional that he was thinking about that.
yeah.
But I wanted to give him a reality check around the phases of development that you go through in order to get to that COO level. Because when you get to that level, COOs are not cheap, right?
Yeah.
executive leadership, and you're going to pay executive prices if you want to bring on a full-time employee. Now, the great thing about Atlas Park Consulting is we provide fractional COO services. So you
Okay.
can leverage our team's expertise and background in a fractional capacity at a fraction of the cost.
Okay. Question.
Yeah.
I love questions because this has been a phenomenal exercise. What do you see mainly is the cause? I think I've mentioned this previously. Well, let's just go back to this. Do you have conversations around the emotional side of the move and the reasons behind it? Because I know you don't want to make an emotional decision, right? I lost almost 15, 20 pounds on my move. I was like, I couldn't eat. I was just,
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, I was anxious. And because I knew it was the right thing to do, but it's just this, it's just that like, you don't know about year one. You don't know how many clients you're going to get, what clients are coming. Are they going to sign the paperwork? How quickly they're going to sign the paperwork? Is the process actually going to work? You know what I mean?
Right.
What do you coach people on from day one? Like, this is the expectation. Don't make an emotional decision. Really hone in on the why you're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another question of that, but just to start there, like, what do you tell people when they're wanting to make that first move and how it's going to impact them?
Yeah, so I had a conversation with a woman who was working a large broker dealer who was at that crisis point. She was tired of being in the space where she wasn't appreciated. She was tired of being held to expectations and hadn't been trained on them and wanted something different. And so my very first question to her was, how do you want your life to shift and change if you become independent and build your own practice? And she shared with me what her vision was and types of clients that she wanted to help and how she wanted to make an impact on the industry. And I said, well, you hold on to that because that's going to be your driving force when you get out here and you start to build this practice. It's not always going to be easy, but let that be your why. Let that be that guiding light to keep you focused. Yeah. And then I was just very transparent with her. I said, building a business is hard. Yeah. Right. So understand that there's going to be some things and challenges that you'll have to face, but there's support out there to get you to that next level. But I'm very honest because I built a business, right? I'm almost 7 years in, and there's so many lessons and things that I've learned, still learning, right? But I hold on to the why, right? And my why was being in a space where I could control my own financial destiny, being able to impact the lives of business owners across the country. And I always told myself, even when it got hard, Cameo, failure is not an option. So you figure it out.
I will say this. My reasons for my move were multiple, right? Black man, finance.
Yeah.
Not many of us out there, right? Black woman, what you're doing, the financial world, not many of you out there either. And I want to change the narrative.
Yeah.
I'm tired of the narrative being run, jump, dance, sink.
Yeah.
I'm tired of that. I'm sure you heard those four terms before.
Yep.
I'm tired of people telling me or not saying it aloud, but saying it with with how they interact with you. Like, nobody's gonna take you seriously. I remember I had a guy that said, Kevin, your brand doesn't mean anything. You can't compete against the Fidos of the world, the Edward Joneses of the world. You need to go with a big firm and go underneath them to be able to build your business. I'm like, okay. I said, thank God Phil Knight of Nike didn't believe that. He would have just not done anything. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not saying I'm Nike, but I am saying that there's visions and purpose. And when your vision is bigger than you,
right?
When your why is bigger than you, then all the other stuff doesn't matter. That's just, and of course, George Floyd and all the other stuff happened, and it helped me, push my move a little bit quicker. But yeah, it's deeper. Your why is important, but also having a mentor that has gone through this, that's the first thing I would say. I,
Mhm.
I always say Helen Stevens of Aspen Wealth Management. She has walked me through this day by day. She has been my Sherpa through this stuff, and I wouldn't have gone through this stuff without it. So that's my first thing I would say, everybody. Get you a mentor that's gone through this. And of course, a coach like Cameo. She's doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and one thing I do like about being in the financial services space is there are a lot of people who will help you and
Yeah.
give your time to help you figure out what you should be doing. And so I totally agree having that mentor, having a good community of people around you so that you can ask these questions and get the support that you need because building in isolation is very hard.
Yeah.
Get that community around you, that support around you, you will get to your end goal a lot faster.
Do you know what I found that helps me kind of streamline everything? That helps me get all the noise out of everything.
Yeah.
All you need is 75 to 100 people. All you need in your personal practice, depending on where you're going, where you want to see this moving forward, you can't really service. I'm talking about really service someone. I'm not talking about, oh, we just talk to them once a year.
Right.
I'm talking about really servicing someone 75, and Kitsa says this too, 75 to 100 people per person. Some
Right.
people say, "Oh, I got my systems." Well, you're not really servicing them. You're just, managing money. You're just doing this little ABC thing, and it's call it a day. I'm talking about really servicing them, going out to their houses, having conversations with them, maybe having lunch with them. 75 to 100.
Yeah.
So for you to make a really good living and take care of yourself and your family, all you need is 75 to 100 people
Mhm.
that fit into this box that you want to work with.
Right. Exactly. And
Yeah.
you determine, what your own revenue goals are, and you figure out what the systems need to be. I remember working for, so my early corporate days, working for a firm, and he had 12 ultra high net worth families and individuals.
Yeah.
12, right?
Yeah.
Then he managed those clients with a team of three.
That's perfect.
He had 1 billion AUM, 12 families, ultra high net worth, early Google employees, early, Silicon Valley tech startup folks, 12.
Yeah. And that's
So
where
you
everybody wants
decide,
to.
you decide how you want to serve, who you want to serve,
Yeah.
and how you can, get to whatever levels of success that you want. Don't let anyone else tell you you got to have 300 clients. You decide for yourself.
So last question, because I always like to leave it with you guys because this is about you. If someone is reading your book,
Yes.
what would you like for their main takeaway to be? I'm going deep.
You are.
Yeah. So what is the main takeaway from your book, and outside of working with you, of course? Go ahead.
Yes. I think the biggest takeaway that myself and the co-authors really ingrain and weave into all of our stories and client stories is inspiration, right? Knowing that there have been other people who have made this leap and you can do it too. Every co-author in the book is a business owner in their own right. So providing that inspiration, because it can be scary deciding that you want to go out and build your own. So I'd say that's the biggest thing is inspiration and seeing and understanding that others have done this before you so you can do it too. But it starts with a belief in yourself.
Belief in yourself, belief that you can do this because, like I said, I lost a lot of weight when I first went out. I was nervous. I was anxious. I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
My hair grew though, right?
It looks good.
No, but I really, I did this, and you can do it too by really having your why, really knowing your values. Because when other people don't have the value system that you have, it's time for you to walk away. But do it in the right way, and don't leave fires like some of us like to do.
Absolutely. Life is too short. So you want to figure out how you can live it on your terms and live it in the success that you want.
Living on your terms. And Cameo, last words. What would you leave this audience with? Give them your, I guess your big ending. I want you to give them some inspiration so they know not only to call you, but just ultimately your minute of inspiration.
Absolutely. So, if I could say anything to the advisors and the teams watching this, is if you're living in that operational chaos that I talked earlier about, there is an opportunity for you to fix it, right? One of the biggest things is acknowledging that something needs to shift in your practice, knowing that you're not the only ones who are going through this. Sometimes a lot of my clients feel like it's just me. It's not, it's others too. And the way to get out of it is to determine that you need some help. And myself and my team at Atlas Park Consulting will be happy to talk with you. But you got to make that first step.
You got to take that first step. You got to take that leap. And it's the hardest leap that you're going to make, but you're going to be satisfied with it. The year one revenue may not be there. Year
Right.
two revenue may not be there, but getting through those humps and those journeys is beautiful in the end. And back in year three, year four, year five, year six, the first 2 years, a little bumpy, but again, build your book, build your business, build your brand.
Yep.
75 to 100 clients.
Get those systems in place. Have that
Those systems in place. Get those systems in place. Cameo, Atlas Park Consulting, thank you for joining the 90s podcast today. This has been a beautiful, beautiful opportunity. You're a beautiful person. And California,
Yeah.
beautiful weather, right?
Yeah. Beautiful weather.
I was just out there in Beverly Hills and had a good time. But again,
Okay.
thank you for joining the 90s podcast. Appreciate you. We'll plug your book. And again, tell the people where they can find you.
Yes. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for having me on your show. This has been amazing. I really appreciate the support. So, for those of you who are looking to find me, you can get my book on Amazon, Beyond the Broker, Navigating Financial Advisor Independence. I'm on all the social platforms, Atlas Park Co. And then my website is atlasparkco.com.
Thank you for that. And again, you're special. And she's been on all these different shows, man. She's everywhere. She's famous. I'm just happy to have her on. And thank you for joining the 90s podcast today. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just had Cameo Roberson of Atlas Park Consulting on the show today, talking about going beyond the AUM. If you're looking to go independent, this is the lady to call. I have gone through it, not necessarily with her, but I know what she's talking about because I've been there. I've done it. And I know the trials and tribulations, the roads you're going to have to cross. The Robert Frost the poem, Take the Road Less Traveled, not in this case. We don't want to take the road less traveled. We want to take that road that people have been on so we don't fall into the bushes. Cameo is a stalwart in this game. She has been on multiple platforms. And I was just gracious to have her today on the 90 Innings podcast. Thank you, Cameo. Thank you for Atlas Park Consulting for being here and your book on Amazon as well. And of course, all of you, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget my book, MOB to CFP, live on Apple and Amazon. You have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at info@9icapitalgroup.com. Send us your questions. Go to the website at www.9icapitalgroup.com. Schedule an appointment. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, power, engage, and also entertain. Today, we look beyond the AUM, the road to independence. If that is you, this is the episode for you. Contact Atlas Park Consulting. Thank you guys for listening. Stay humble, stay safe, my friends. I'll see you again soon.